My name is Linda Hebert, and I'm the Senior Director for Education and Life Skills for World Vision International, which is a faith-based global organization. We have about 100 countries that we work in. We have 19 offices that support us, such as Canada, the UK, US, Germany, Japan, and a number of others. And we work both in development as well as in relief. We were talking this morning about community literacies, and actually what we really want to be doing is helping communities by empowering them to be working on their own initiatives to develop literacy for children. Not only literacy, but also other aspects of community life. So it really is important that communities are empowered through a process so that they can engage with strength and credibility and a voice with local partners, with government, either the ministries such as health or education, but also then with other partners that might be global, because there are a number of communities where there are a broad spectrum of organizations that might work with them. So what we're trying to do is say that communities really need to find their voice. One way to do that, especially in the area of education, is to help communities through a process that we have developed. It's called Citizen Voice in Action. And the Citizen Voice in Action tool is a community mapping tool. It's also a community engagement tool where communities come together. They find representation across all of their communities, including teachers, doctors, students, children participate, but finding representation that really represents the entire community. So you don't have a group of leaders that are just talking about a particular subject or looking at education, but really having communities find that voice themselves. Through this process, there's a tool where we help them to actually identify their particular issues. Let's say that teachers are not showing up in the school on time, or teachers aren't showing up on Friday, or there's not reading material in the school. Parents can raise those concerns and voice those concerns. And then we also ask teachers, how do you find the schools? Then we ask the administrators, what about the schools? Is there something in the school that you would like to see that you would do better? And then we have a dialogue between the parents, the teachers, the administrators, the school management committees, and they work together then and develop a plan of action. So that's one thing, is the community voice. The other is to make it sustainable. World Vision is in communities for about 15 years. Most organizations don't spend that length of time in a community. So you need to find a way that it's going to be sustainable, whatever change takes place. That has to happen between the community and their governments and other local organizations. So that's the other piece that we work on as well. And then finally, we really want to be able to find a way that multilaterals as well as bilaterals, other INGOs can find a way to develop this community voice. Right now, communities, we don't have a good measurement of the impact of community engagement. There are many, many organizations that are finding this a part of their work that is really important. They're beginning to recognize that this is a really important part of their work. But it's not going to happen automatically. So there's funding needed, there's policies that are needed, there's political action that is needed. And in order to do that, we have to find a way for the INGOs, for governments, for multilateral organizations like the UNICEF, UNESCO, and others to really engage around this community action piece. It's new, although communities have been around since the beginning of time, but we haven't found a good way to actually help communities have that voice. So that's the other piece of it that I would say is really important. So one example of how communities are coming together and finding their voice is in northern Uganda, in an area where we're working. World Vision is working with communities. The schools in that area have very strong school management committees, and they've banded together to actually create a network of school management committees that eventually could, in fact, provide a means and a mechanism to really work at the policy level of the government. Now, one of the components that's missing out of that school management committee process is getting the voice of all representation in the communities into that dialogue. So that's where the Citizens Voice in Action tool is possibly could help. And so we've introduced that as a way for the school management committees to draw in the local voice of teachers, of parents, of children, and they're all participating in that process. We're hoping that eventually what comes out of that, even though the school management committees are very active themselves and have engaged with schools very actively, but bringing in the parent voice, bringing in the student voice is going to help to really address some of those concerns that parents and students have. Looking forward, I think that the use of the CVA tool, the Citizens Voice in Action Community Action tool, can really help to provide a scorecard for communities to keep track. You know, is a teacher showing up on time? Is there materials in the classroom that are enriching that classroom environment for students? Are volunteers really helping to create after-school reading programs for students that is going to make a significant difference? Because in the end, what we really want is students to be able to improve their learning outcomes. That's our ultimate goal. And I think by engaging the community more, by also helping with other programs that come alongside that piece of the community engagement, teacher training, enriching the reading environment for students with more books, having volunteers help, and then finally assessing both at the beginning and the end of the students' learning, we can see some real gains. So that's very exciting, I think, for communities.